So after you pick up the manhole cover, that's after you end up fighting the scorpion and you're all done with that. You need to make your way to the other side of the train once again in order to drop off the ice pick on that trolley. And don't forget, like I had mentioned before, make sure you pick up those items and drop them on the ground in order for them to be back there for you. And sometimes, if you're superstitious, you can also throw them in the safe room. That's where you end up hearing the music and all of that stuff. Just in case, if you want to make sure everything on the train stays with you. Like I had mentioned before, I had to play through this a couple of times already because, like I mentioned, you leave the items there, you think they're going to be able to come with you, and they don't. It's like they never existed. So just be careful, and if you're not wandering around like a complete dumbass like me, you make your way to the other side of the train, and that's pretty much all you have to do. On that sequence there, you saw that little brief key card thing in the corner where the dead guy was, where you got the first train key. That's where you need to use the blue key card. And the way you do that, obviously, is you get the gold and silver ring. You want to get the hook shot right there and use it with Rebecca, like we mentioned, because it has a weight requirement. You're going to need to use the hook shot later in the game, so make sure you don't let that snap. So now with Billy here, we're just making our way to the other side of the train. Thanks for following along so far. Facebook.com/ToBeYourGunslinger, Twitter @JohnReinott. I am your host, John Ott, here for the Resident Evil Let's Play. Like I mentioned before, it's nice to have longer videos now in SHAREfactory because it makes a game like this possible and able to do it. Otherwise, it was a limit of 15 minutes and it would take pretty much forever just to be able to get out of these certain sequences because there is more backtracking in Zero compared to the other games. And I make the mistake of doing this. Please don't ever drop items here where you get stuck with things in the foreground and the background because you're not going to be able to find where the item is. If you press L2 on the PS4 controller, you're able to bring up a map screen which also shows you any items that are laying down on the ground. And as we get to this next part again, I'll show you why you shouldn't leave items down here, just in case. So go ahead and use the manhole cover. You need to use it to open the door on the side. More often than not, those dogs come out real fast, so they're able to attack you, so you can open that door and regroup. Take out the two dogs, and honestly, right now, if you wanted to bring Rebecca over here, you could, but you might as well just take out the two dogs and take this guy out here. Right where I'm standing is probably the best camera angle you can get. And like we mentioned, now you got a little bit of space to run around. You feel free to use the knife, get a few shots in, conserve some of your ammo where you can. That's pretty much what I try to do. If I got room to move around, that's what I'm going to end up doing. Keep a safe distance. Take out the zombie. Sometimes I like to hit examine or something else by mistake because I'm used to it just being at a certain spot in order to pick what I want to choose, and sometimes I end up hitting the wrong buttons. So you got the empty bottles there, they're going to be important. As you take out these two dogs, you know, you can wait to have them charge at you and shoot, but sometimes when you're just stuck in there together like that, it's just best to use as many rounds as you can, just take them out so they can stop them from biting you. Especially if you're being attacked by dogs with Rebecca, you know, it only takes a few hits for her to get into that deep caution or that danger. So if you pick up the gas can and you combine it with the empty bottles, it gives you Molotov cocktails. Go easy on those guys because you're going to want to use them for later enemies in the game. And I'll let you know what that is as we get about that. And don't forget, like you said, you know, make sure you pick up all the items so that way they're there for you. And pretty much going through this door, you're going to end up finding the gold ring. That's the other part that we need for the briefcase to get the blue key card. And as well, when you go through that door, that's where the hook shot is going to be. So you need Rebecca at this point. So once you have the briefcase and the ring, it's probably a good idea. You can give Rebecca the hook shot and give her the briefcase as well with the gold ring inside it. So that way all you're looking for is the silver here. Basically, it's just a two-person puzzle here. One person holds, flips the switch, while Rebecca can be the one to pick up the hook shot. It's important too, and I probably could have already dropped the ink ribbon as well. Try to keep all of your inventory uses as you get used to the game. Just, with all the unnecessary button presses. Might not be something that I include in the next part of the videos, but it just goes to show you this is some of the aches and pains of Resident Evil, especially in this game. Always have to managing your inventory, especially in this game when there isn't any item boxes. You need to just leave things on the ground. Yeah, it makes it more realistic, but at the same time, I'm always of the point of it's about the gameplay, and sometimes, realism can be a distraction in terms of you're just trying to play the game and have fun. So whether or not it was the most important feature remains to be seen, but it is the gimmick of the game here with the partner zapping and leaving items where you have to leave them. So it does make for a little bit of a pain in trying to record a video, but just sometimes it's what you got to deal with. So here, if you don't end up pressing the wrong button and don't make a move, you switch here, tell them, make sure you don't have them follow you like I did, or screw around, because you hit the wrong button and the switch gets flipped and you got to do it over and over and over again. So immediately after this is done, don't press any other buttons except the triangle to switch partners, and there you go. Grab the hook shot there with Rebecca, and on the manual it tells you to make sure that you keep the weight to a minimum, because you are going to want to use the item later in the game. It doesn't tell you that, but make sure the rope doesn't break. Make sure Rebecca is the one that uses the hook shot. So now you can feel free to take Billy or Rebecca with you, whoever you're controlling. You guys need to go back to the first part of the train car that has the window on the outside. So we're going to make our way back there right now. Okay, now see where it has a brief little flash there? That was the briefcase. I didn't notice that until I ended up playing back the video here to do the commentary. So that's why you never want to leave items here, especially in a small confined space, because I'm just looking for the briefcase here. So make sure you leave items where you're actually going to be able to find them, because sometimes, like you said, you got items in the background or in the foreground and you just can't find what you're looking for. So I'm here being a dumbass, pressing all kinds of buttons, and like I mentioned, if you ever do forget about it, you can press the L2 button to bring up the map. It also tells you any items that are also in the room or in the corresponding rooms themselves. So here, the briefcase is here. I can't quite find it, especially on that camera angle. I can't find it, but finally it appears right there and I can see it. Yes, the fixed camera angles, they do make the game look more beautiful, especially on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, but in this iteration, is that what everybody still wants? I'm not quite sure, but it's one of those games that was on the GameCube and the fixed camera angles were still there. So like I said, just make sure that you leave your items out in the open where you can actually see them, so that way you don't get frustrated by what you can't find. At this point, that's all Rebecca's going to need to carry is the hook shot, basically a little bit to protect herself, and have a couple open item spaces so she can do whatever she has to do, because she's still got to pick up the other ring to open up the briefcase. And again, press the wrong button there. I want to just exchange bullets. Do a little housekeeping. And now we're going to make our way to the next part, which is that open window on the side. Again, sorry about all the confusing button presses. Just the way it is when you're first starting to play the game again. Yeah, it's just something you're all going to go through until you get ultimately used to everything in the game. But it does get better, especially if you get to the first save. And like I had mentioned, haven't saved the game yet, and I usually, when I get to this point, I don't save the game until you get after done with this sequence. So if you end up dying, you're going to have to do all that stuff over again. Thankfully, you can skip the cutscenes. And another one of these times here where if you're not automatically aligned, it's just right outside the door and pressed up right against the wall is where you need to stand. And sometimes if you get stuck, you didn't use the item, but you trigger the cutscene that says, hey, you got to do this here, then you know you're standing in the right spot, so all you got to use is the corresponding item. It's something you'll get used to after a while. So this door is locked unless you go ahead and use the hook shot to get over here. Now this is a spot where you're alone with Rebecca. She can't take a lot of damage. You want to make sure you take out this zombie quickly before you get any damage done to you, because there's not a lot of room here to maneuver. So just take them out and pop a few shots. If you got to use a couple extra bullets, that's fine. But make sure you don't take any damage here. And if any instance, it's easy to just open a jewelry box, but if you get something and you get stuck, it never hurts to examine whatever items you can find, because that's pretty much what it's going to need to be. If you get stuck, examining is never a wrong thing to do. You combine it with the briefcase, and there you go. You have the blue key card. So right here I'm going to cut, and we're going to get to the part where we need to be, which is that keycard door where the initial dog attack was at the beginning of the game. That's where we're going to have to end up being.
This is Delta Team. This is Delta Team. We have gained control of the train. Over.
Understood.
This does not make any sense. How was the T-virus leaked? And why did it contaminate both the lab and the mansion, as well as a train almost 3 miles away?
That's irrelevant. We must make sure no knowledge of this gets out. Destroy the train. Completely. How far away are you from the nearest branch line?
About 10 minutes to... Huh?
What happened?
The train will either derail or crash. I gotta stop this thing. I'll go over to the back deck and manipulate the control panel for the brake. Then you apply the brake from here, okay?
All right. Billy,
What?
Be careful.
Yeah.
So now after those cutscenes, you gotta decide who's gonna stay behind. Obviously, I'm gonna take Rebecca to stay behind because she's the one that can't have a lot of damage dealt to her. She's the one that gets hurt a lot more easily. So it just makes sense for Billy to go and fight back to where he needs to be. And just in case you're wondering where that is, yes, once again you're going back to the other end of the train. You need to go back to where you picked up the hook shot so you can activate the other brake. So that way you can stop this train from speeding out of control and blowing everything up. Basically, on this point, I think you would just need to make sure that you end up doing what you have to do. Take out a few zombies, to get them out of the way and keep going. Don't waste your time on guys that you don't need to attack. And obviously here, don't be like me where you end up getting bit from behind. Because if you have a couple of the zombies, they'll feast on you and they'll do double damage. And if you're using Rebecca and you're playing at least on the normal difficulty, that's what this is on. If you end up getting attacked from both sides, that's an instant game over if you're using Rebecca. So I think Billy might be able to take 5 or 6 hits compared to Rebecca's 2 before even getting the danger. See here, I'm just going to go ahead and take that zombie out so I can at least knock him down so I can get through. I'm not really worried about trying to take all these other guys out because I want to conserve as much ammo as possible and get to the next point. It doesn't take much with these puzzles here. All you need to do is apply the brake and you let the total get up to 81. You have so many digits, so many spaces that you have to fill on a numeric keypad. So whatever addition you use to get to 81, as long as you have the black key card here, you can operate the panel to apply the brake. So it's nothing too hard. You just get to a total of 81 with the amount of digits that you have there. I just like to use multiples of 9 myself, and then whatever else is left over, you can just add the difference, and there you go. The next part is pretty simple as well. All it is it doesn't have the amount that you're going to be adding up. So just make sure that with Rebecca, you just do a little bit of the math in your head. Nothing too difficult. Again, you just use multiples to get to 36, and that's all there is to it. Here in the end, we're going to have the train sequence, so I'm going to cut off here and talk to you guys in a minute.
Rebecca? Rebecca!
I'm here.
Are you alright? Hey, you managed to stop the train.
Yes, we managed.
We have to find a way out.
So immediately after the train sequence and the crash and everything else, you don't have a lot of time to recuperate, and you only pretty much have the items that are there at your disposal while there's zombies all over the place. So it makes a lot of sense right now to just have them both equipped with a gun, get to a safe spot to shoot, and take out these guys as quickly as possible, because your items are all over the place and you want to make sure that you get it to the next spot so that way you can keep your items in a safe place. That's pretty much what we're doing right now, taking out all of these zombies so that way you can pick up all of the inventory and stuff that you need to do to take them to the next safe spot, because there's going to be another cutscene and there's going to be a place where it's just a humongous hall inside the next part of the outside of the mansion, especially the one that you've seen in Code Veronica, something similar to that. So we're going to take you there right now and just break to the end of the video here, but you want to take all of your items and you want to leave them by the typewriter and everything in the hallway, so that way you have all your items here with you. So pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cutscene, and I'm not going to include all of the item inventory management here. So have a good one, guys. This is John out here signing off for the Resident Evil Let's Play Part 3. When we come back, we're going to have some more video for you. Peace out.
The Umbrella Research Center? The first general manager, Dr. James Marcus.
Who on earth are those people?
She's just a rookie, a member of STARS.
What about the male?
I'm unfamiliar with him.
Attention. This is Dr. Marcus. Please be silent as we reflect upon our company motto. Obedience breeds discipline. Discipline breeds unity. Unity breeds power. Power is life.
Who are you?
It was I who scattered the T-virus in the mansion. Needless to say, I contaminated the train, too.
What?
Revenge. On Umbrella.
Dr. Marcus?
10 years ago, Dr. Marcus was murdered by Umbrella. You helped them, didn't you?